And hello, my audience, for the It's a Beautiful World podcast. Today we have a very special guest. Her name is Amy Lou Jenkins. She is a best-selling author. I believe her main message is advocating for women's rights, and I'm really down with that. Amy, how are you today, and what type of message are you putting across to us today? Would you like to talk about?
Well, hi, Summer. Thank you for having me. And I like to help really, my main audience is women, but it really is a message for anyone who feels that they were encouraged to be less than they can be, and maybe more specifically, is starting to wake up to the programming that is embedded in all of us, and that some of that programming is not for our best interest. It's for someone else's best interest.
Right, right.
And it's usually, some power structure within a culture or institution. Now, I'm not saying we can't take wonderful things from our culture. We all have poets and art and movie and philosophies that are very important and dear to us. But we all have to choose our values and start to recognize our programming, because you can't grow up without some programming.
Yeah.
And then it is, we really have to go back and start choosing, what do we really believe?
Right, exactly. And you hear that, I hear that from Facebook posts like reprogram yourself with erase all you've learned and just ask yourself, what do you really believe about yourself? What are your interests? What can you have confidence about that people are trying to hold you down about?
Absolutely. And this is an old thought. In fact, our founding fathers, and even the fact that I have to say fathers shows you, that we had problems from the beginning. But, Emerson, who was a transcendentalist, he told us, don't suck on the dry bones of your father. And that was kind of like, think for yourself. He also said, say boldly what you believe today, and tomorrow say the opposite. What he was really saying was, we need to keep learning and changing and growing. And that is anathema to what's going on in our culture right now. We have everybody digging in, just looking for facts to believe what they want to believe. And you can see what a mess we're in.
Yeah, so there is a lot of alternative type of like, there's the male way of thinking, I believe, and there's the female. So the male is more like all, the wars and everything. Now, I'm not saying all men are like that. And the female is more about, maybe some people, maybe, I know I do, more of a spiritual, love for the universe approach. And so when we try to learn from each other, both sexes, and try to channel that male maybe aggression into maybe, don't you want to give back to your community, your parents, the people who feed you while you were young? Don't you want to care? Don't you care? Where's your heart? And just expressing yourself that way. And everyone has their own interpretation of what's going on everywhere. So, but just to get your message across. So, would you like to tell us about did you have one best-selling book or more than one? And tell us about that.
Well, I have five books. My latest book will be out in March. And I think the ones I like, the one I'm probably here to talk about the most are my first book, which was Every Natural Fact, because these are the two books that really relate to what we're talking about today. These are both memoirs. And in Every Natural Fact, what I did is take my son into nature And what we try to just tone down the programming, the commercialism, and that's a thing that nature is wonderful for. To develop, and again, I'm using Emerson's words here, an original relationship with the universe, so that you can go out into nature and see what is real, not what has been reinterpreted by other people. And nature allows you to turn down some of that commercialism. Now, Summer, I may be older than you are, but I can tell you that when I turn on social media or anything, they know that I'm in my 60s, so my ads are all, oh, your skin is crepey, your hair is thin, there's something wrong with me, and they've got the product to fix it. So,
oh, right, I get that.
so that's the problem with commercialism. It all depends on you either being upset and mad about something or disappointed. Then they can sell you. If they can convince you that, the political party that you don't like, they're going to stir up as much animosity in you because that's what it takes to act.
Yeah,
but
it's an outrage media thing. Yeah.
Absolutely. So what happens is when I go in nature, then you look around and you're like, hey, things are old. Things get old. Look at that beautiful old gnarly tree that got hit by lightning, got bent over, hit the ground, and part of it is, rotting away, is a nursery for new trees. Another part of it is, vibrant, reaching for the sun. So you start to see what is normal and what is natural, and realize that when somebody tells me, buy this product so you'll be forever young, you can recognize it's BS. And there's nothing wrong with me for being in my 60s. It's okay.
There's no shame in growing older. There's no shame.
That's absolutely right. So in every natural fact, we looked to nature to try to unravel some of the nonsense about identity. And now in the alchemy of SAS, I went into my history, the cultural, religious history. In medicine, if you've interacted with doctors, if in education, and really was able to look at all the programming. And boy, was I programming. My whole life I would have said, I speak up for myself. I'm not like that. And I realized that patriarchy was wrapped around my soul, and I was judging myself by the standards of patriarchy, because every time I have to say something that is contrary, or no, I don't really see it that way, and I don't believe that, or I don't think that's true, there's my body reacts in a way that tells me that
right,
I am Right, I am uncomfortable. I don't want to be in a group full of people who say something I don't agree with. Now, I know I'm
to agree with them to get along with them, and it's just a bunch of BS too. That is.
So what I stopped doing is I stopped agreeing.
That's good.
I don't agree anymore. But I'll tell you, that is uncommon. So many women I know. You don't have to start a fight with somebody, but you can say, I don't see it that way. Or ask them questions. Try to understand the other person's point of view. Yeah. And then ask, would you like to know what I think? Yeah. The other thing is that probably both of our points of view are rooted in some kind of suffering. So there are points of connection, but we are so much of our society right now is polarized because of, the way we consume media. We only get the things we agree with. So when I wrote The Alchemy of SAS, I really want to start a revolution of people saying, I am programmed. Mm-hmm. It's about more than women's rights.
It's from a long time, very many years. Yeah.
And now it's been reinforced and reinforced. And I should be growing. If you haven't changed your mind about something in a long time, you are programmed, you are dug in. And I'll give you an example of this, which, I almost don't want to admit, but I'm going to be honest with your viewers. Now, way back when Obama was president, we had ask but don't. What was it? Don't ask, don't tell in the military. I think Clinton brought it in, and Obama continued it. And in my head, I thought, well, I don't mind if somebody is gay. What they do in their bedroom is none of my business.
Right.
But then I thought, well, I don't know. Marriage maybe is between a man and a woman. That's the way I've always understood it. I wasn't quite sure what I believed.
Right.
And it took some exposure for me to say, well, oh, yeah, why is that only my right? And am I really against the way people love each other? But I probably spent quite a few years into, well, they should have equal rights and health insurance and all that, but do they have to have the word marriage? And then I realized, why was I stopping at that? Why wouldn't they have full rights? Now, I know a lot of people don't agree with me on this, but that's an evolution that I made over time. Like, well, that's silly that marriage should just be for people like me. And
Right.
one of the things behind that is because I love nature and science, is I started to understand more about men and women
Sexuality.
and sexuality through nature. And I learned that homosexuality and identity shifts and gender shifts are completely normal in nature. I even learned that most of the time they developed for a biologic function. And in many groups, from fruit flies to mice to some ungulates and other mammals. I mean, it's very common across the spectrum. What happens is when there's overpopulation, there's a biologic response to create more individuals that tend towards homosexuality because of overpopulation. So it even has a biologic function.
Oh.
It's completely
I never thought of that. Yeah.
it's completely normal. So when I realized, through nature that it was completely normal, I thought, oh, you are programmed to believe it's not normal. So okay, so I changed
There
my.
are many variations of the human psyche, the human way, different people. There's so many variations.
Right, and some of it is, that's genetic, it's hormonal, environment can change hormones, and also, there are people who are just born intersex. We want to label everybody. I do. We think of ourselves as men and women, and that is normally the circles that I move in. That's what I see. So then I think, oh, that's all there is. But, you'd think as much as we have access now to seeing we can see people on the other side of the world, all different cultures. It really is a shame we just dig into what we believe when there's such an opportunity to learn how to love each other better. And I think if we would chase our curiosity about, I've never seen that before, and chase our curiosity with our brains instead of our judgment, we would create a more loving and beautiful world.
Yes, and that takes a lot of strength of character and bravery for you and maybe some other certain people who feel like they have to be the norm all the time to be deemed as normal and not laughed at or told that they're weird or strange. And that
Yes.
does take bravery to go out there. It's like Shirley MacLaine Out on a Limb. I don't know what that book was, but the title makes you think sometimes you have to stand alone when you really want to believe in love, actually, I think.
That's right, because when we hear those that the only thing necessary for evil to prosper is for good, and the saying is men, and may I say men and women, is for good men and women to say nothing or to be silent. So when I am writing my book, The Alchemy of Sass, I really didn't know where I was going. I knew that I had a lot of mysteries in my family. I had 5 last names over my life, very complicated life.
Huh.
my mother kept hidden from me. In fact, she never revealed it, who my father was. And we had all these other mysteries. We had men who disappeared. I found cousins on Ancestry that I had to, where did they come from? Because everybody was saying, we don't know. So I had multiple mysteries. And almost everyone was rooted in this ridiculous patriarchy.
And where did you grow up? In the United States?
Yes. I grew up in the Midwest.
Midwest?
Yeah, I spent most of my life in Wisconsin. I also lived in Seattle and Alaska.
That's cool. I know some people who live out west. One of my daughters lives in out west, and I've always wanted to go to Alaska. I have an obsession with it.
Well, I think then go. It's beautiful. I lived in Alaska for 3 years. I loved the summers. It was so energizing, all the daylight. And after 3 years, I realized, the darkness is taking a toll on me. And I think when I was there, maybe people weren't as cognizant now of making sure you have the right lamps and things. The other thing is, though, as you get older, the harsh winters actually cause some pain in my joints.
Yeah.
But boy, there are a lot of tough people in Alaska. And one of the interesting things about Alaska is the indigenous culture is strong, and that is really fascinating to explore. Yeah. And there are people from all...
and people from adventure. Sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. It's an adventure and there are people from all over the world there. So when I lived there, I lived in a little town that didn't have, like if you wanted to make tacos, like there was no place to go buy shells, But there was a Mexican lady there who said, well, I'll teach you how to make them. And then there was another lady taught me how to make egg rolls, and another person taught me how to do Southwest cooking. And so, all the different cultures was a really good experience. So I think when we look at ways that we can deprogram, we talked about nature, and then I talked about writing and examining your past. And I think another one is travel, especially if you can have some immersion and see that the way you live your life and the way that you think is normal is really just one path. It's not universal. And you grow as a human being. So I'm all for travel.
All right. Can I ask you a question? It's just like maybe might call it philosophical, but for people who are like struggling in a hard relationship, like, or with loneliness, do you think one is better, or how do you, like, if someone wants to leave their relationship but they fear being lonely? I don't know why I'm asking you this, but I don't know if you have any ideas on that.
Well, yes, I absolutely do, because I've had more than one marriage, and I don't think there's anything lonelier than being in a bad marriage.
Yeah.
But the problem is that most of us, when we're little girls, we're playing, get married.
Yeah.
And you're imagining who you're going to marry. That is all programming, because women were never acculturated to the same way that boys are. For boys, it's your authority, your leadership, you're going to go conquer these things. You're going to do that. And then for women, you're going to, right? What is the goal? The most important goal is for people to think you're pretty, right?
Yeah, or like the housewife, and a
yeah.
mother and a caring person that cooks and cleans.
Right. So first somebody's got
with an apron on, waiting for her man to come home.
And even if you also had a career dream, that is still in you. This whole thing about how you take care of a man. And you notice the man had programming, the woman had programming, and the programming usually isn't partnership. So I know what I want now. I went back and chose, I want partnership. And when that doesn't mean everything in a marriage is always 50-50, right? Sometimes somebody goes back to school, somebody gets sick, all kinds of things. You need to support each other. But when you're not in a partnership. But the thing that I want to say about women is the reality of poverty, because more women live in poverty
Yeah.
because we have we
Job
we take
inequity. Yeah.
and we take breaks and take care of children, and
Yeah.
we so I don't want to say that, oh, leave your husband, go set up on your own. I mean, maybe you can work it out, but I think you have a right to demand partnership. The other thing is, if you can't, if you know that if I speak there's a price to be paid, then I think you better name it. You're in an abusive relationship,
Yeah.
and it's time to start developing a plan.
Yeah.
So, and you'll notice I was in a situation like that in my life, and if your readers will read The Alchemy of Sass, you'll see how I tried to keep myself safe while I developed a plan
Okay.
to get out. And, I had to be sneaky.
Yeah.
And I had to hide things because he wasn't somebody I could trust with the truth. And so I say protect yourself, but don't lose yourself.
Right, exactly.
And right. So you have to think of your safety, your children's safety, but plan, find advocates, find people who will help you, because usually in a bad marriage you isolate yourself because you've been encouraged to do that, whether you
Yeah.
realize it or not. Yeah.
Okay, so what is it you do are you just a full-time writer, or do you have, like, what do you do for a living now, and how did you become a writer, or what are your other interests, if there are?
Well, I was a registered nurse. And what happened was I worked very hard to become a nurse. My husband left me, and I was raising a child. I had to put myself through school, and I had worked my way up to becoming the director of a home health agency. And I had a program that was very important to me that helped keep young people who were quadriplegic, paraplegic, or like in wheelchairs home, so that they didn't have to live their life in a nursing home. And this was very important to me. And even though I worked for a Christian nonprofit organization, they told me, well, we're cutting the program. They didn't want to accept Medicaid patients anymore.
Oh.
Most quadriplegics or paraplegics are not rich. And I was so upset. I said, we're nonprofit and we're not losing money, and this program is very important. Well, the board said we're not going to do it. So I drove home from work just crying, upset. And I told my husband, I have to quit. I'm not going to be part of putting those people in nursing homes, and I can't stop it. And he said, what do you want to do? And without forethought, without planning, without thinking ahead, from my depth of my soul, I said, I want to go back to school and study literature and writing.
Okay.
And he said, well, then do that. And
Yeah.
we were at a place where I could do that. So I applied to Bennington in Vermont, because I looked at U.S. News and World Report, and I thought, okay, what are the best programs to get an MFA in writing? And it was on the list, and I thought, oh, that looks wonderful. Really too ignorant to know that was probably quite aspirational for me, that I would get in that program. I'd always written, I had published some things, but I got in. I didn't know they only had 3 openings, and I was number 5, so I was waitlisted. But then I did get in, so that was great. And from that point on, I've been writing and teaching writing, and I've taught at universities, at conferences. I teach online, and publishing books, and I also do literary criticism. I've written a column for the Sierra Club for 20 years now, a book review column, and I've written for lots of magazines, and so I've been writing ever since.
Have you made an appearance on TV?
I have been on, small shows, the cable shows.
Wow, that's nice.
And
That's cool.
yeah, and I have been on some things with higher visibility, but mostly that was more background. I was never like a feature. But with my next book, look for me, because I am really pushing The Alchemy of Sass, because there isn't anything more important to me. I think our world and our nation is just tumbling into
Chaos.
chaos, autocracy. I'm so upset about it. And so I feel very strongly that we need every moral person to start acting and
Yeah.
speaking and writing from their best chosen values. And that is the underlying message of the Alchemy of Sass. So it's very important to me.
All right, it is really an honor having you on the show. You are the most smart, intelligent, very virtuous person. So, where is Alchemy of Sass available? Just Google it, right? And it'll tell you.
Well, it actually doesn't come out until spring.
Oh,
But
okay.
what I need to do is in spring is I need to grow my social following. So I'm Amy Lou Jenkins on Instagram and on
Okay.
Facebook. The more followers I have, I want to get the word out. It's very important to me. And if this sounds like a mission for you, it's helpful. To look for me on social media. But one of the things you can do is while you're waiting for the Alchemy of Sass to come out, you can go to amyloujenkins.com, scroll down, and you can download a free copy of every natural fact, and that's where my search for this authenticity began. So you could read that memoir for free
Okay.
while you're waiting for the new one to come out.
That's beautiful. Okay. So, how else are you making, have you been, as a women advocate and women entrepreneur, making strides for women's empowerment and progression?
Well, I have become much more politically active. Like most people, I really don't. I would like it if I didn't have to be that involved in politics, but I am understanding that it is my obligation as a citizen in a way that I have never understood it before. So, other than that, I really feel like my writing is my message, but it's not just my writing. Anyone who thinks they might want to write, I think your story is just as important as mine. So I teach memoir writing. And
I love
again,
that. I love that. Yeah.
yeah, and I want you to write personal essays. You know what happens when you write a personal essay? You have to figure out what you think, because when you go in, you think, oh, I know what I think about. We'll talk about some heady. I know what I think about abortion, or I know what I think about immigration, or
Yeah.
I know what I think about who should do dishes after Thanksgiving dinner.
Yeah.
Even those things. All of those things are political. And all of those things are based on your values. And if you write an essay, a good essay, you become smarter because you figure out what you think. You do some research. You look
I
up some
love doing
facts.
those. Those are great. I'm a writer
Yeah.
too. You can find me. I've wrote
Awesome.
15 books on Amazon so far. It's like poetry and short stories, just little fun, whimsical stuff with pictures.
It's all important. Yeah, it's all important. So, I teach writing. In fact, I have at the same website, amyloujenkins.com. I have a free download. It's called 5 Must Do's to Find Your Story and Begin Your Memoir. And it's a workbook to get started, and it's absolutely free. It'll put you on my list, though. So every once in a while, you get an email from me, and then you'll find out when my memoir programs and start. So I teach small programs that are just an hour and a half long, and I teach a whole year program to, if it takes you a year, you could do it shorter, to get a book ready and then onto a publishing path.
That
So
sounds
I,
fun. Yeah.
I care about your stories, and I also I publish in all ways. I published traditionally, and then I have a hybrid called Jack Walker Press, and for that I have published 2 anthologies, and one more is on the way because I want to help people get their essays written, and I want people to read more essays because essays are so fun. Personal essays, I think, are some of the most entertaining writing out there, and people
So
know.
where do you publish them? The essays in a collection or in a newspaper or?
Yes, well, I publish essays all over, but I want the people I work with to have a place. Also, so I've put together, one is called Friends, and it's all about different friendships, and one is Corners, And those I've published through Jack Walker Press, and they're available, in bookstores and Amazon and Barnes and Noble. And you can read. The new one is going to be on aging, and all my newsletter people will see when that's coming out. And then my group, when you get in my newsletter, you become my lit friend, LITFRI, because you're lit for literature and for enlightened. And then I'll have my community, we'll pick out what our next anthology will be about, what the theme will be. And we'll do that together. So there's lots of ways you can see that I'm really invested in our voices for good.
Okay, so that's the great renowned Amy Lou Jenkins, everybody. So leave us with some advice for anyone who's trying and just doesn't seem to be getting where they want to go.
Well, my advice would be to remember that all the voices in your head are not you. If it's something negative, if it's judging you, those are voices that were put there by someone who did not have your best interest at heart. So when you choose your best values, the first thing to choose is to love yourself.
Yeah.
And then in your head, you can start replacing that is not your thought. And I'll give you a quick example, because some people will say, well, if I'm thinking it, it's my thought. So I'm going to tell you one thing right now to show you it's not. Chair. See, I said the word chair.
Mm-hmm.
You probably pictured a chair, right?
Mm-hmm.
I put that thought in your head. So don't think
You did.
So don't think just because a thought runs through your head that is judgmental towards you or towards. Don't think it's automatically your voice.
Don't let it pay rent in your head. Yeah.
That's right. So choose your values, and then the first one is to love yourself. And then go back and choose the rest and get on the path that's going to make you be the best you, because the best you.
It is possible.
It is possible. And it's only the best you that can make the contribution to the world that we need.
So
the world's a mess.
Put yourself first.
Right.
Put yourself first. Don't let anybody tell you what to do and take your time up and treat you bad. Always go for what you want to do, your interests. Put yourself first.
The best you is who the world needs.
Yeah.
So, yay. So be the best you.
So you can go to amyloujenkins.com and join her, get a free memoir worksheet as I collect here, and be part of her email newsletter. Also, she's on Instagram and Facebook. That's Amy Lou Jenkins. She has the book Every Natural Fact out. Is that the free one that you said?
Yes.
And also Alchemy of Sass is coming out this spring. I love this podcast. I'm so glad we could do it turned out good anyway. So
it's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much, everybody. It's Amy Lou Jenkins. Thank you so much. I hope everybody goes out for themselves and goes and does and brings change to the world in a positive manner.
Yay! Thank you, Summer.
Thank you. Peace out. Bye, everybody. Bye.